This is Ruth O'Reilly, and I'm talking to Luella Colvin on July 21st, 1999. Okay. Now, just any events that you can remember happening.
Oh, I remember when we moved to up on Deep Creek, Relmore District, and about going to school there. I really liked that. After we got older, why then they used to have house parties.
Oh, yeah.
In one winter, why we went to 14, and my dad took us, and it was
You went in horse and buggies in those days,
or the sled in the winter time.
Yeah.
And then we moved and we went to the Burden School, and we liked that. We had a horse that we rode. It was only 1.5 miles, but we rode the horseback. I remember going, it was up by the B-plate place. That road was open then. I remember the McCowans, Bob McCowan plowing with his mules, and he had one line and everything went G and haw. I couldn't see how he could have them
know which way to go.
Yes, but that was one thing about that part. Then we took our state exams at Potlatch then, so. And I don't know about, I worked up at Harvard and was
Where did you work in Harvard?
At the Weedmark store, and the post office was in that building, and I carried the mail from the post office to the depot at noon, and then about 3 o'clock I'd take the mail back over to the depot, and that was during the war.
Yeah.
So we didn't have any problems with gas rationing or buying tires, because we had the I was a government employee. We had plenty of gasoline and tires. Then I guess the most outstanding then was before we went to Harvard, Lila was born, and when she was 3, we moved to Harvard because Lester had a job up there.
Doing what?
Working on the section.
Railroad.
Mm-hmm. And
was it the WINM then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then we had a train that'd go up and down with logs, and then this bug, what did they call it? Potlatcher, that carried the mail, and Claude Davis from Potlatch drove that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that job too. I enjoyed this store too.
I'll bet.
And well,
what do you remember about the Depression?
Oh, one thing to this day, I don't like cornmeal and those substitute things that you have. Just now and then I like cardboard or cornmeal, but not very often.
Cornbread.
And cornbread, not very often.
We couldn't get sugar then.
Oh no, but it was rationed. But I always had enough.
What did you use instead of sugar? Honey, wasn't it?
Yeah, honey and syrup and things.
Yeah.
But I saved my stamps for canning.
Yeah.
Because we didn't care too much about the
That's right.
syrup and things for that.
And the days we canned, the days that we did canning, it was in quarts and half gallons everything was canned or preserved or something.
Yeah. Dried or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was time.
Meat was smoked.
Yeah.
Did you have root cellars?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We always have had a cellar there and here. And
yeah.
So then Lila went to school at the Harvard School. That was after the other one, Bernard. They had a two-story there, but they just made it into one.
They had a two-story school at Harvard? Oh, they did?
And it burned, so I think it did. And then they had a one-story, but they had two different teachers for the lower grades.
Two different rooms.
Yeah.
You don't remember the teachers?
Yeah, it was Edna Swanson. I think she was from Troy. And Catherine, what is it? Kinman. Is that, no, what is her name? They taught, but then after school, why, Edna Swanson married a Thompson, and they moved to Coeur d'Alene after they closed the school.
Can you remember when Doris Kinman or Kate O'Reilly, Kate Gamble taught school up here? Didn't they teach at Harvard?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Doris Buchanan's mother lived with them, and she was able to do the cooking and things, so it made it handy for her. Then
that was Kate Gamble was before she married an O'Reilly.
Yes. And then it was after that what's her name? Buchanan. She was Buchanan, and she married Kenneth.
Doris.
Yeah, Doris, and she married Vladi. No,
Vladi was a brother. Yeah. Vladi was married to Kathleen somebody.
She was from...
I don't know where Kathleen was from.
I was thinking. I don't know. Then Lila went to Edna Swanson. And then she went to... then Lila Nolan taught there after they left. She had her trailer house in our yard, I remember. But I think Lila went to Doris Buchanan and Lila, I think, Nolan. And she did go to, with, who's Irma Franklin.
Oh, yeah,
too.
Married Nygaard? Yeah. Yeah. Can you remember when you were a child, what were your chores?
Well, not much of any when we lived up by the schoolhouse, but we used to milk cows and help with the haying, and after my brother passed away, why then I was the next age and I'd help in the haying. Well, Sis did too some, but we had our cows to milk, and I didn't mind milking them at night, but I sure hated to get up and help milk in the morning.
Don't blame you. You know, my mother always said, don't ever start milking because you'll always have it to do.
That's about right.
Can you remember any childhood games that you played?
Well, we really didn't have time to play games when we were home while we had something to do, or...
Yeah. It was always work to be done, wasn't there?
Yes, and then Mama used to make quilts. We'd help her tie them, and...
Yeah. They didn't make them like we do nowadays, though.
No.
I can remember Mother taking old quilts and piecing fabrics together and making new covers and cover the old ones and tie those on to the old ones. Boy, they got pretty thick and pretty heavy before we got through.
That's right.
Yeah, those were days when you used everything. You didn't waste anything.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's see, you didn't have anything to do with logging camps or the Potlatch mill, or... Can you remember how much your wages were when you were paid to work in the store at Harvard?
Yes, it was $1 a day in...
$1 a day?
$1 a day in winter and $1.50 in the summer a day. I thought that was a really lot of money. Well, I helped after we moved down there by that electrical station, you know, the B plates lived up above us, and I worked for her for a month. When she had the twins. Mm-hmm. Then she had another lady hired to take care of the babies, and when one would cry, the other one would too, so she sat right up in bed. That's when they stayed in bed.
10 days.
10 days, and she'd just sit right up in bed and feed them both. And they was asking me, especially Helen, the girl, about things that happened when they were young, and Hilda has asked me quite a few things, what happened when she was a little girl growing up. That Mama never told us very much about anything.
Yeah.
They didn't then.
It's funny, and the birds and the bees, my mother was very reluctant to tell me anything.
Yes, that's the way.
They didn't talk about those things in those days.
Never.
If they come back now and hear what goes on, they would be glad to go back where they are, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I know. One woman, and that was of late, was going to tell her son and daughter about the birds and the bees, but he says, well, I can probably tell you more than you can tell me. Mm-hmm. That's just about the way it was.
But my dad never let me in the barnyard when the cow was having a calf, or a horse was having a colt, or the pigs were being born. No way. We were never allowed to go near it.
I guess that's about all I can think of. When we moved to Harvard, though, I did enjoy that over there. It was kind of lonesome when we moved over here, though.
I'll bet.
And Lila was... Lila liked the things that they could do over there, slide down the hill and then have a bonfire in the winter time.
Did they ever have, well, you didn't have wieners. Did we have wieners in those days? I can't remember.
Yeah, because when I was younger, when we was growing up, we went over to a neighbor's and had one.
And had our homemade bread, I remember.
Yeah.
Everything was homemade in those days. Even our shortening was lard rendered from pig's lard,
That was about all.
Yeah.
My mother used to bake sour cream. That's when you had the cream and you didn't have to use lard, too.
You didn't have to use vinegar to sour cream either. We had sour cream.
She baked cookies, and the kids, neighbor children, especially Vic Beaklate and his sister Hilda and them, remember they'd say they wanted some of Grandma Hall's cookies.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They both asked me how she made them. And I'd say, well, those molasses cookies, that was what I wanted to know. Vic said, how. I said, you can't make them only with pure lard. That's what my mother made them, and I'd tried them with shortening, and there wasn't anything like what she used to make, the way she used to make them.
Well, and pies.
Yeah, that was
Still,
lard.
to this
too.
day, I don't think you can make a pie that's as good as the lard pies, the crust that we used to have. What did they use for cake shortening? It was lard, wasn't it? Or butter, wasn't it?
Yeah, one or the other.
I can remember that. Boy, and I remember churning cream to make butter.
I do too. They had a barrel. My mother had a barrel because we had quite a few cows, and you could make the butter in that. Then.
Did you have a butter churn that had a handle that turned?
Yeah,
a wooden
barrel.
A wooden
barrel.
Kind of a barrel type thing that had ladles in it.
Yeah, and yes, we've had that too.
Then as it turned to butter, you could hear it swishing in the buttermilk.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd pour that buttermilk out, and what did they do with that? Because I never liked buttermilk.
A lot of people drank it, but I never did care for it. But probably throw it away.
Well, then Mom used to make cottage cheese out of something.
She did a lot.
What was that made out of? Was that
sour milk? Just sour
whole milk
and heat it. Yeah.
Oh, because I never made it. I remember Mom making. And then Mom used to make head cheese. Do you ever remember anything about
head cheese? Oh, yes, and I still made that when we had our big stew. It had to be head cheese and liver sausage. Oh, I just
I don't remember the liver.
That.
I like liver sausage now, but I can't have it. But yeah, that was head cheese and liver sausage and what? Oh, heart. We used to love the heart. I still like heart, beef heart. Fried. I love heart fried. And pickled.
We had the garden.
Yeah.
Well, you just couldn't go to town and buy things like that.
No, gosh, stop and think what we buy in a can nowadays. We had our own corn, our own peas, and our own beans. We made our own sauerkraut. Or our own potatoes, of course. Those went in a bin, in a root cellar,
and
or
apples, too.
Apples? Yeah, and then, gosh, I can't remember.
Excuse me.
That's all right. This tape will have to be interrupted or ended. Company has come to the door. And ironically, she was speaking of Irma Franklin being a teacher. That happens to be who's at the door today. This Irma Franklin married Henry Nygaard, and Henry Nygaard lived just north of the high school here in Potlatch when he grew up.